Well, I know people want to get it, but Jerry, let me ask you. I mean, you know, you started the moral majority. I was involved a little bit in the beginning there. How do you see America? What do you think is going on?
I think we're in serious trouble.
Yeah.
You know, the Lord is sovereign. I was very encouraged in '94 with what happened in the Congress. I'm not discouraged right now. I'm not sure what God's up to, but if we need a whipping, he'll be reelected, you know, put it bluntly. Sure. But I feel very much that revival is the thing we need most. This is the first century in our 3 centuries of national history in which we have not had an all-pervasive spiritual awakening that's impacted the culture. First one, we had during the Revolutionary days, you know, and then the prayer meeting revival back in the 1800s, but nothing this century, and only 3 years to go. And I see a spontaneous movement of God. Bill Bright, you know, I feel so compelled in the fast and the prayer and the preachers. The Southern Baptist Convention elected new president this year, Tom Ellifatt in Oklahoma City, who is calling for fasting and prayer, and nobody's orchestrating this. It's just happening all over. I finished a 40-day fast last Saturday, praying for national revival, and I met people during the fast who told me, I'm doing that too. And there are people who are fasting a day a week for revival. There are people who are fasting 10 days for revival. But there's something happening, and I think the only cure, I don't think Republicans or the Democrats have the solution to our problems. I think the Lord alone.
Well, I concur totally, and I think if God doesn't move in and really change society, we're in for serious trouble in this country.
And the family breakdown. I see the big issue, you know, within the next 10 years, unless we have revival, I see homosexuality not only accepted as an alternate lifestyle, but homosexuals are a bona fide minority like blacks, Hispanics, so forth, with affirmative action, hiring quotas, forcing churches and Christian ministries to hire a quota of gays and lesbians, or lose their tax-exempt status, and I see that. I see the abortion thing as being the biological holocaust that is destroying the nation today. I see this 50% divorce rate, where there's a cultural war that only God can solve. Dr. Tony Evans from Dallas, an African-American pastor, one of the leading in the country, preached for me 2 weeks ago, and he and I were talking about the only hope for inner city is vouchers, so that all the churches can go in and plant Christian schools in the inner cities and capture these fatherless young people for Christ and teach them biblical discipline and so forth. And so it's either God or it's ruin for our country, I do believe.
Well, I totally agree. And ladies and gentlemen, I concur with what Jerry and Bill Bright and others are saying about fasting and prayer. We're going to be having our 7 Days of Blaze coming up very shortly, where we're going to be asking people to begin to pray for revival in America. And without it turning to the Lord, you know, you mentioned homosexuals as being accepted. Not only they're accepted, but they're now turning around and condemning Christians as being, you know, bigots and homophobes and all that. And the whole concept of biblical morality is being thrown out the window in our society.
And the government's promoting it. Most of the major corporations today have caved in, you know, from Disney World to AT&T and MCI and Sprint. I mean, just all pervasive. The political power is awesome. The president, of course, and his wife have done more for the gay and lesbian agenda than any
you
president.
wonder how this happened, because it was condemned by every society, and it's against nature. But for some reason, it has a life of its own. Well, we have some people in the audience, by the way, with Marie, that want to ask some questions to Jerry Falwell or me or somebody. So, Marie, what do you have?
Well, thank you, Pat. We do have a wonderful studio audience here today, but before we get to them, I want to share with those of you who are viewers in our local area that tonight at 7:00 p.m. in our CBN ministry tent, Jerry is going to be speaking. So come on out and hear Dr. Falwell. Well, today, this beautiful audience, we have someone. Would you like to stand up and address your question? I believe you have one for Dr. Falwell.
Yes, Dr. Falwell. I'd like to ask a question. I'm beginning to read the Bible, and I've been wanting to read it from the beginning to the end, and I have been told that I should read the New Testament first, but I feel in my heart that I want to read it from the beginning to the end, and I don't know which is right and which is wrong.
I've got a plan, but I'll give you the one I've used for 44 years. Oswald Chambers, my utmost for his highest, is a wonderful devotional, and this morning was just the message I needed before I flew down here to be with Pat and some other things that were ahead of me. But I would recommend 3 chapters in the, 3 chapters a day, 5 chapters on Sunday. I'd read 2 in the Old Testament, 1 in the New Testament. Start in Genesis, start in Matthew. That'll get you through both Testaments about the same time. Or get a 1-year Bible. There's an excellent, Ken Taylor has a living Bible out, a 1-year Bible that gives you Old Testament, New Testament, Psalms, Proverbs. You get a little smattering of both in about a 15 to 30-minute reading every morning. Just something practical that you'll stick with. That's the important thing.
Thank you, Jerry. Marie?
Amen. Well, we have another audience guest here. Would you please give us your name and tell us where you're from?
My name is Paula Ely, and I'm from Hampton, Virginia.
From Hampton. Good to have you with us. What is your question for Pat today?
My question is, I've often heard between the Old and the New Testament that there was a 400-year span, and God was silent, and he did not speak to any of the prophets, and I'd like to know why.
Well, I think God has always spoken, you know, in diverse ways and diverse places. He's spoken to us, but there was what's called the intertestamental period when Israel went into captivity, and there was a period that we find in books such as the Maccabees and Esdras and so forth that is included in some of the Bibles. That, but in terms of what we consider as Christians as the revelation of God, it ends with the Old Testament revelation with Malachi. Then it starts again with Matthew and when Jesus came. But I think God was speaking to his people all during that time, you know, during the time of captivity. I don't think there's ever been a time that God didn't speak to his people. Marie?
Give us your name, please, and where you're from.
Hi, I'm Timothy Poling. I'm from Lancaster, Ohio.
Good to have you with us, Timothy.
Thank
and
you.
your question for Dr. Falwell is?
Yes, Dr. Falwell, I have a beautiful black pastor. I'm his associate. We have a lovely church. In our church, we have mixed marriages. We love all these people, and it seems that family and friends reject a lot of this idea. I believe the Bible really says that Eve is the mother of all living, and it's not sin. How does the church address this?
Well, I can't speak for the church. I can only speak for me. The real world is that people are people. Jesus died for everyone. God is colorblind, and I accept people the same way he does, as they come.
That's a great answer. Jerry, thank you so much for being with us. We just appreciate you, and may God bless your ministry, brother. Well, still ahead, for those of you watching on the Family Channel, the Answers series continues with a look at the most baffling questions about the life of Jesus Christ.